Good morning. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene. And today we're talking about
Halloween games.
Ideas for Halloween games, right?
There you go. Ideas, not yeah. And yes. Games would work well with Halloween, I guess. So Halloween is coming up in less than a week, or exactly a week. We decided to do a little episode about games with the Halloween theme, at least.
Now, Halloween theme can be different to different people.
Right.
If you have little kids, it's probably costumes and trick-or-treating.
Right. Not Jason and The Purge.
Yeah.
Movies like that. Or themes like that. And if you're teenagers, maybe.
I say that because if you're going to run, it would be perfect to run a game for Halloween. I did it for Christmas for the kids, and they loved it. I would say doing something like that for tweens or even teenagers that are really into role-playing games and don't want to go trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah, that's good. And if it happens on a Saturday night? Sunday?
This year, it's a Sunday.
Okay. So,
but you can do the game anytime around Halloween.
You're right. There are a few themes that we probably should discuss as far as what kind of themes you can have for your game. So the first one is horror, right? That's right off the bat. Let's just get that one out of the way. Now, when I talk about horror, I'm talking like anything, a game based on any kind of media, like movies, books, TV, even comics. I can even think of comic books. And that's the horror. That's the Jason. I don't think a slasher movie would become translate to a good RPG. But
I don't know. It could. There's a slasher going around slashing and killing people.
Right.
And you're trying to stop them.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That would work. That would translate
and
well.
Or get them out of this realm, whatever.
So usually, So you're right. So those games, that theme of a game is probably something that could work as long as everybody buys into that whole thing, right? If everybody knows what they're into, then it's okay. I think some of those themes can be very mature, right? Mature audiences type of thing.
That's what I was talking about. You're not going to run that kind of game for 7 and 8 year olds, right?
Right, exactly.
But teenagers who have just all watched all the Halloween movies in the month of October, or all the scary movies, Freddy Krueger, all those kind of movies.
True. Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of people. I'm on Facebook, and so people on Facebook are saying they're watching 31 movies for Halloween or something for the month of October.
And since I avoid scary movies, that's not
right.
me.
I don't mind them, but I don't really. I could leave them, right? I don't really need to see them. I mean, I've seen some classics. I've seen like Halloween. I've seen Halloween. Is that the one with Jason?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
I saw Friday the 13th. That scared the bejeebies out of me when I was a teenager. Yeah, I think some movies have gone into like too much slash, right? Just like weird killing type stuff, and maybe some people might be able to run a game like that. I probably wouldn't. I know I probably wouldn't be able to, so that's not my kind of shtick. So those kind of games, they usually involve, like you said, a killer, a mad killer, whether he's supernatural or not, that's up to the game. And the people involved are either trying to stop him, trying to send him back to Freddy Krueger, back to wherever he came from, or usually there's some reason why they're doing what they're doing.
Like someone stood in front of a mirror and called a mirror, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, Candyman and all these other people. Yeah. So
I think those are perfect Halloween games, right? Especially for adults who enjoy horror,
right?
Or like if you play Call of Cthulhu or any of the games that go in the horror direction, then.
And I think they're pretty good one shots because they're self-contained, right? Just like the movie or just like a book, and you can run the game, and it has a definite ending.
But you don't have to have just those kind of horror games, right?
No. But games that would probably translate well into that kind of game, to run that kind of game, I'm thinking like Call of Cthulhu.
And Call of Cthulhu, you could do anything from shtick to the comedy kind of Halloween thing.
That's true.
As much comedy as you can have in Call of Cthulhu as you're going insane.
Well, I think you can ignore that same mechanic. Maybe you would use it, but that's up to you. Other game systems I was thinking about, Dark Conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
Stalking the Night Fantastic, go way back with TriTac games. And that was a goofy little, it had a, that is, you were talking about, what is it, comedic twist to it. That one, if you read the book, it's totally twisted, right, in that comedic style. In the writing of the rules, you make a character. So he starts off with this character who's a writer who gets invited to a game con or something like that, a convention of some sort, which is gaming and stuff. There happens to be werewolves, and as he's receiving his award for best writer of this or that, he beans the werewolf over the head with his award, which has a little bit of silver in it, which is enough to kill him. And then he was what is it? He was brought forth into the world of the Stalking the Night Fantastic. So throughout the whole rule book, he's the character that they're making. He's the character that they use as examples, and everything has a slight bent of comedic twist to it. So I think it was pretty
dark
funny.
humor.
Yeah, dark humor. I can't think of more games that would be good for horror games, but I guess you could use like GURPS would work. In fact, there's even a GURPS horror, I'm sure. I'm sure Steve Jackson came up with that one. Other systems that are like generic, any of them would work. The Numenera with Cypher system, Year Zero engine.
Well, say your group is not necessarily into horror, but they're into a certain game like Tales from the Loop or Traveler. I'm giving two very divergent ones, although their systems might not be that divergent.
Yeah, they're pretty different.
Okay, so but they want to play a Halloween, or you want to do a Halloween episode for them.
Yeah, well, you could. I mean, either one. I mean, one Traveler, horror, Alien, something like that.
Yeah.
Or as Tales for the Loop.
Oh, Alien would be a perfect Halloween episode.
Oh, I could put that in horror. Yeah, space horror. And then there's what was the other one? Tales from the Loop. Just set it during Halloween.
Right. And there could be the mystery could be that the robots have started trick-or-treating, or they're doing weird things.
Or candy is
or
missing.
Candy is, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think when you look at that kind of theme, it has nothing to do with horror, right? The Tales from the Loop game that we just talked about. So I think that's another thing. Just set it during Halloween. It might not have anything to do with Halloween. It might not be horrific or horror. But the first thing that came to mind was E.T. Now, some of you may not even have seen E.T.
I'm sure most people have, even if they're younger.
Okay. So E.T. at one point takes place during
Halloween.
Yeah. And in fact, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons at the beginning of the movie, when they're playing. And they go outside, and that's when they find E.T. because he's a creepy little dude. Well, they don't find him, but
Elliot does.
Elliot finds him, and then he takes him into the closet or something. So anyway... later on, it's actually Halloween, and they disguise him as a little ghosty, right?
Yeah.
Mr. E.T. I think that's a great idea to set a game during Halloween, no matter what game you're playing. If you already have an established game and it's running, you might want to run a Halloween version of whatever.
Right.
Or whatever game you're playing. You know, insert Halloween or a festival of like that, the Dia de los Muertos for, I don't know what else there is in other cultures, but you can run those kind of games. They don't have to be horrific. They could be, like I said, something a little bit more whimsical if you just don't want to get into that horror business.
Well, I would say that if you do D&D and you don't want it to be a scary game, you could have it that Halloween, the All Hallows Eve or Samhain, whatever they call it in
your world,
D&D world.
Yeah.
That's when the veil is really thin, right? That's the idea. That's when you want to dress up to keep the ghosts from seeing you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And that kind of stuff, right? So you could go with that kind of theme. You could do, they're having a festival and something goes missing, or people go missing and you have to go find them and bring them back.
When you just set it during that time, then anything that happens is Halloween themed. I mean, theoretically, somebody gets lost, an important part of the ceremony that needs to be done. Nobody can find it, and then you can make it into an investigative game, or you can make it into an adventure game where, well, we lost this one broke. You got to go to wherever, the Mount
Or in the middle of your festival, someone accidentally summons one of the demon lords comes out.
That's a good one too. So you have to deal with this creature that suddenly shows up.
Yeah.
Now, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that.
And I would say campy is good for stuff like that. I mean, if you're not really into horror, campy is always better, right?
I actually like campy, though I haven't really played or ran many games of that ilk. I don't think I've ever ran. I think the closest was when you were running your game, the Christmas one. It wasn't campy, but I mean that's as close as.
Well, Santa Claus had a a two-headed axe.
Right. Battle axe.
He was a battle axe guy.
So exactly. So that game was actually really good themed. It was Christmas themed, but you can import all the ideas that you had in that into a Halloween theme, right? And I think those games could be pretty fun. I think a lot of people will probably enjoy them because a lot of people like Halloween, right?
Well, yeah, Halloween is like one of the coolest holidays, right?
And I guess you can even, I hadn't thought about this, but you can even ask people to show up in character, right?
In costume, right?
In costume, because then you can like after or before your game, you can have a little party.
I think it would be cool to have a Halloween party and play a game at the Halloween party.
Yeah,
where everybody's dressed up. That would be cool.
That would be really neat. I never thought, and then it wouldn't feel so self-conscious about dressing up, right? Because
most people don't dress up when we play D&D,
right.
as you all know. But
right.
it's a what is it? A stereotype.
A meme out there.
Yeah. I just thought of a game that I think would be a great Halloween game is Paranoia. I'm not totally sure how you would do it, but I think that would be cool.
Well, Paranoia, I don't know for some of you who out there who have never heard of it or have played it, but it is in a world after the apocalypse. There's these underground cities called complexes, and everything's run by this computer
that's a little off,
that's gone a little crazy. So it really is like paranoid, right? And there's a lot of interpersonal conflict between the players.
It's the only game where you're really allowed to just kill your fellow players.
Right. So there has to be a good reason.
But the reason can be anything.
Right. So as long as there's a reasonable reason for you to kill
explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste the computer property.
That's true.
Everybody's
because then they might come after you.
Right. So I think Paranoia, even if it's just a little bit of Halloween, right?
Or it could just be October 31st or close to October 31st, and the computer tells you the story about Halloween, maybe.
Or even better, you're trying to subvert this crazy idea of people giving away candy, and you're trying to find the source of where this idea is coming from, right? So
why would they do that?
Yes.
How very not cooperative they are being.
Yes, very against the computer. The computer doesn't approve of it, so it shouldn't be done.
It shouldn't be done.
So I haven't thought about Paranoia. Paranoia is a good game, especially because it's very manic and mayhem, right?
Right.
It can lead that way, and I think those kind of games are perfect for a Halloween themed game.
I think about when we were thinking about this episode, I was thinking about Babylon 5, where they bring back Jack the Ripper, right? He comes back as this creature that the Vorlons had not saved. They pulled him out of space and time so he could stop killing people, but they use him as a truth seeker, right? Well, I was thinking that it would be pretty cool, a space game, like if you're on a space station or in your spaceship and somebody finds like a box full of old Halloween costumes. Maybe it's haunted or something. But since you are in a literal science fiction, right, there's not necessarily magic or anything like that, but that would be kind of cool to have things that aren't normally there.
Right. I don't remember the Jack the Ripper episode. So was he killing people?
No, he was torturing Sheridan and Malin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. I mean, not cool, but I don't remember that one at all. That'd be creepy. So
it was very creepy.
Huh.
There's also that episode where, I don't know if you remember it, but there's a section on Babylon 5 that nobody goes to because it's like in between the elevator doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there, right? There's like a secret floor.
And the guy that plays Freddy Krueger is in that episode.
Oh, yeah.
And that episode is the universe comes for everybody. And the universe is this space creature that eats people.
Yeah, I remember that was a good one. That was funny.
An excellent one. That would be a great Halloween episode.
It was the security guy who figures out because there's a little bit too much space between to get to a floor. And he counts it, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Wasn't it like floor 13 or something?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Section 13. Yeah, so here you go. You could be like in a regular game, a regular non-Halloween game, and just have a session that deals with Halloween or deals with that time period or whatever. Make it creepy. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. You could even think about like Star Trek, any game.
Of them.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Well, except maybe like, I don't know, does Star Wars have a a Halloween because they're in a different universe.
That's
or
true.
A different,
They're in a
I'm
galaxy
sorry,
far,
different
far
galaxy far, far away. That doesn't mean that Halloween isn't there or
away. A long
a
time ago.
facsimile of something like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. That'd be a tough one to do. I think you probably still could do it, but maybe they land on a planet where they celebrate something like that, and something's happening. But I think for the most part, anything that deals with human culture,
Yeah.
you can easily incorporate a Halloween theme of some sort into the game. That'd be neat.
I think some of the best games would be mystery games where you're trying to solve something.
Right,
Mystery.
I agree. That's what I was thinking about Tales from the Loop, because as kids, you know how much you don't really want to get into some horror type stuff, but you can solve the mystery. Like, and I like the mystery of, like, you know, there's no candy available in the whole city. Somebody's stealing candy for whatever reason.
The robots are hoarding it. They
The
don't
robots
know.
are hoarding it.
You heard a rumor.
Anything. And so I think that kind of imagination, you can really, you know, you can let your imagination go and come up with almost anything. And I think that works well with any game that you're playing at the table. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, Serenity would be a good game to play that with Serenity episode because it's all, you know, they were on Earth and
Right.
they have all the holidays, right? Or I don't know which holidays they
I
still
think
celebrate.
at least that one would probably, you know, sneak
Stick
on
around.
through. Yeah, stick
Yeah.
around. You're right. I hadn't thought about just having a regular game have a Halloween episode. That's a good idea. So as far as I was thinking about mysteries, of course, mystery game, Tales from the Loop, Bubba Gumshoe, that uses the gumshoe.
I don't know if
system.
you have it written down, but I was thinking Liminal because,
Oh yes. Well, that's just perfect.
yeah,
Well, because it takes place in England and it has to do with fairies and, well, the supernatural, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
urban fantasy.
Urban fantasy setting. And I think obviously, you know, Halloween would be a perfect time for something to happen. You know, isn't that where the veil is thinnest
Yes.
and all that other stuff? So, of course, when you have characters who are mythological creatures, some of them, you know, fairies, or
You can even have Halloween have a full moon on that night
Oh, that would be, yeah, of course.
because you have a werewolf in your
Yeah,
party. And,
usually,
you know.
at least one. Somebody wants to play a werewolf. At least that's been our experience. So Liminal, I hadn't even thought about Liminal. Yeah, and Liminal is a super easy system you can run, and you can just insert that into the game. I mean, if you have a Liminal game going, we ran the one shots. I've done a lot of one shots. I mean, I sort of connected them a little bit, but they've been basically one shots here and there that I've ran, and they were a lot of fun. But I hadn't thought about a Halloween themed game, and Liminal would be perfect because it actually deals with supernatural stuff, and so anything could happen in that game. Like, you know, you're trying to shove something back to where it came from. It could be as silly as, like, even the Tales from Loop when somebody's stealing all the candy, which could, I guess, you know, in a way, cause quite an uproar, right? Can you imagine if that really happened? You know, people would start questioning things, and you're trying to prevent the normals from finding out about the Fey world and stuff. So, or the supernatural world, because it could cause problems, right?
Supernatural would be another excellent game for Halloween.
I wonder if they ever did an episode.
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. And so, because the supernatural show at times was kind of campy, then of course a Halloween theme episode game would be easy to do. And there's two. I don't want to get into too much about Supernatural, but there's two. No, there's only one Supernatural game. I was thinking of Firefly. Supernatural was done by Margaret Weiss Productions. It used the Cortex Classic system, but that game is long out of print. It's probably pretty hard to get to because they lost. Not only did they stop printing it, but they lost the license to print it to sell it. So it is out of print and out of anything. You can't even buy the PDF, I don't think. But you can find some of those books out there on eBay. Though I think they've
at a used game store where some girlfriend has made her boyfriend get rid of all his books. That's where Saul finds a lot of books.
I don't know about that. I think maybe that, or maybe a gamer has gone on and there's a collection of books there at the bookstores, which is kind of sad. But at least the games go on to somebody else. But Supernatural, I think you can use that world and just use any set of rules that you want.
That's true.
Anything that deals with urban
I have another one to throw you off.
Okay.
I was thinking about a war game, like Weird War II.
World War II.
And
Okay.
also maybe like a modern D&D or modern D5 game where you're playing soldiers.
Okay.
And it's Halloween
Oh.
time.
Wow. Yes, that would be interesting. You're right. I mean, I am currently looking at this game called War Stories. That is,
It's not published yet.
no, it's coming out. It's supposed to be coming out in the first quarter of 2022. Is that what year it's going to be?
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's kind of weird. Time's flying. I had him on a previous episode. I did an interview with the person working on that game. His name is
Gabe Garcia.
That's right. Gabe Garcia is a super nice guy. We had an interview with him probably over an hour, and we could have talked for another 2 hours. He's a gamer from way back when, and he's working on it. So he has a Facebook page where they give out the latest playtest version of that game. I have that. I was meaning to run it at the past con, which was Pacificon, but didn't quite get it ready. So I'm gonna probably run a game of that for our group, test it out, and then I'm running the game at DungeonCon.
Well, that's like a World War One.
It's World War II game.
World War
the
II game,
straight World War
but
II.
it's a straight World War II game.
Right.
So but during World War II, there had to be an October 31st, right? Because it was several years going. So
Yes. Well, D-Day was in June, so the war still went on until to the end of the war, which was whenever the 45. Yeah, it was.
oh my God, Saul's having a moment.
It was. Usually the war lasted till officially until they dropped
Anyway,
the bomb. But
anytime during World War II, there was a Halloween.
right. So I hadn't thought of that. You're right. That goes along with almost any game, but that you can insert Halloween. But that one would be interesting because of the horrors of war.
Right.
You know, you're already dealing with that, and you could go with the weird war aspect. You know, maybe some weird supernatural thing is happening. You know, there was look at what is that movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Supposedly Hitler was nuts for this occult stuff, right? According to that one. Was he the CIA guy?
I don't remember.
Before the CIA, it wasn't the CIA, but some of those two guys that go talk to Indy about what the Ark of the Covenant is.
Oh yeah,
They were clueless. I love the part where
they
he
were
goes,
the intelligence.
the intelligence goes, "Did you guys go to? Did you guys go did you guys read the Bible or go to catechism or whatever?" And they're like, "No, tell us exactly what you're talking about." So it was interesting that he I don't know if it's true that Hitler was involved with the cult,
Yes,
or
it is true actually.
or that he was really interested in it. But obviously, that is a tie-in to anything of the occult, as far as World War II is concerned. And it doesn't even have to be weird. It doesn't have to be supernatural. He could just be looking for something, or especially at a church in France, right? There's all kinds of crap that can be somewhere in there. Some, what do you call those?
Well, you might want to find the relic, like a finger relic of one of the saints, you know.
Or a saint that went rogue, supposedly, right? Secretly been excommunicated or taken out of the Bible, or whatever you want to talk about, or church history. But Hitler found something, and so the Germans are, I don't know, I'm giving away an episode or a game.
So the Americans have to get it. Right.
And then the Germans, for some reason, are stuck in this one town and defending it at all costs for absolutely no reason. So that is a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. World War II. And then you have the backdrop of the horror of the war already.
Yeah.
So this you can go lighthearted as far as what's going on for your game, or you can add some weird stuff, and whether it's supernatural or not, it definitely could involve things that are cultish in a way. So that's obviously thematic with Halloween.
So when I looked up the idea of Halloween one-shots online, there were all kinds of things. And I think one of the best ones I realized, or I thought I saw, they were talking about zombies. And, you know, D&D, you run into zombies. Zombies are hard to kill because they regenerate. But
they don't take a lot of damage. I don't think they regenerate.
Well, they don't take damage because they're dead. They probably can't regenerate, but they don't take a lot of damage. But I was thinking that it would be pretty cool to have like little kobolds come trick-or-treating in a village or something like that, because they heard about it, right? And then there's always you're in a dorm room and and this guy decides to run a D&D game for you. He opens up an old tome and he accidentally summons a demon, and he's dead when the lights come back on, and then you have to figure out how to get rid of it.
Well, if he's dead, he's already gotten rid of, no?
No, the demon that he summoned.
Yeah. I think those type of games are we even talked about running one at a convention. That remember, our big game was going to be a game within a game, right? A game that we played in the convention, but I think we
it was too hard.
We canned that idea because it was going to be a little bit too difficult, at least from what we were thinking. But something simple like that, something that takes place at a convention, something that takes place in somebody's home, make it even extra
this
creepy.
Was the dorm room, the dorms.
Well, especially in college, but you can set a game in your own home or whatever, and in your own,
or at the community center, or the local library is even better.
Local library, and there's even what is that game? There's a couple of games. I forgot who put it out. I don't remember, but I'm sorry, I don't remember. But I put it in the show notes because that you were talking about, where you play yourself in a game. And there's different types of world-ending events. There's the zombie apocalypse. There's the alien invasion. There's the gods run amok. Like the gods come back and they're not happy. And you play yourself, and you can only what happens is, this is a funny thing, is you have stats, right? And you give yourself the stats like strength or whatever, charisma and all this stuff. But everybody has to agree that those stats are correct for you.
That would take a long time. Probably.
There's a lot of bickering, right? Like people say, "Oh, you're not really that smart, dude. Come on, you're not really that charming. Really, come on." So I think that's a funny game. I think I own one of them. I don't know which one to do. I think I own the zombie apocalypse one. And I think there's a alien invasion. There might be a robot invasion too, or robots run amok. But they were in a very interesting series. They all had the same game system. I think it uses 6-sided dice. I don't really remember. I remember just looking at the book because I got it at the flea market, at the gamer flea market 1 year for that. And I got it for like in a bundle. It was like literally $2. So I've heard good things and good things about them and bad things about them. The bad thing is that a lot of people argue as to whether you're really that smart or really that dumb, and other people argue at the very beginning. But I think if people are kind of honest and other people are kind of okay, we'll give you leeway on certain things, then it could be a fun game. Though some people will say that, like some podcasters who played that game, like I think it was the guys from Happy Jacks, they were a little bit they didn't want to die, right? Because it was like it's too close to home, right? The idea that you play yourself. So they were doing things that they normally said they wouldn't do, like leave people behind. So it's just like the movies, or it's just like the show. So I think that's an interesting idea. I think the idea of playing yourself is an interesting idea, or something based on yourself, whatever that means. And you can only use like weapons that are like in your home, right?
I'm not sure how that's a Halloween episode, but
well, I mean, you could set it during Halloween, right?
Yeah,
and then you have a zombie apocalypse on Halloween.
All of a sudden, the trick or treaters aren't trick or treaters.
Yeah, you don't open your door. So I think almost anything you run, anything you play. I was thinking there was only certain systems that would be good, but now you talked about almost any system that you're running currently, whether it's D&D or Traveler or something like that. Anything that takes place during that time, anything with that theme of Halloween, I think you could do it. I think that all you have to do is just come up with a interesting, idea of what's going on, or a mystery to solve, or everything has to be a mystery to solve, basically. Whether it's Freddy Krueger running amok, whether it's somebody stealing all the candy.
It doesn't have to be a mystery. There could be zombies that you got to just go kill.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Or the source of the zombies, right? Where something's creating the zombies. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a mystery, though. I mean, it could be you see the serial killer running down the street, killing people slashing people. I'm sorry, the Halloween killer, and you have to go find him and kill him. I don't know how much mystery that is, but it is a lot of.
Well, you got to find it, so you got to figure out something. There's a lot of something figuring out.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely doable. You don't need a lot of time. You guys have a whole week to think of something. There's plenty of movies, plenty of books, plenty of shows. I'm sure there's a few Halloween themed adventures out there if you go to Drive-Thru
Yes,
RPG.
there are, because I got a email from, I don't know which one it was, but there are, because trust me.
Because Chester, yeah. So go out there, have fun, have a nice Halloween. Be safe and
play a game. It's a lot easier than going trick or treating, unless you have to go trick or treating with your kids. Then
yes, our kid is 18, so
Yeah.
no longer trick or treating.
So there you go. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene.
You have a good day.